Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And once again, I'm concurring with you a lot here this morning. That's probably a good thing. I'm all over that. Senator Brasso would like this article that he referenced regarding Canada and the U.S. regarding the LNG race, wanted that incorporated part of the record.
Without objection, so ordered.
And I have just one follow-on question here for you, Deputy Secretary, and this relates to unconventional resources. The budget is once again zeroing out funding for the unconventional fossil energy technologies program. I think we recognize this. I mentioned in my earlier comments, I'm one who thinks that a very appropriate role within Department of Energy is to focus on the R&D side, how we can really move forward these technologies that are going to make the difference for us into the future for our energy and our energy portfolio. We've got great opportunities, I think, in unconventional resources like our oil shale, our heavy oil, our tar sands. If we're really going to subscribe to an all of the above energy policy, I think it is important to recognize that we have huge opportunities there. And yet, in this particular line item on the budget, we have zeroed it out. And I'll also point again to the methane hydrates issue that I referenced in my opening statement. Again, I think there is enormous potential for us out there. The study that was completed by USGS suggests that the amount of gas hydrates here in this country exceeds the volume of known conventional gas resources. We're saying we're the Saudi Arabia of natural gas now. We're not even talking about the unconventional resources and the potential for us there. One potential source of funding for the methane hydrates has been historically in the unconventional fossil energies technologies program. You know, the budget now, as it stands, shows a 16% increase in funding for the natural gas technologies program. How much of this increase in funding might be possibly made available to R&D related to methane hydrates, to the unconventional gases as opposed to the conventional side? And if you could just speak more generally to what's going on with unconventional resources.
I'll address both, Senator. Thank you for the question. Again, I must agree with the premise, and when you think of the technological breakthroughs in fracking that were a product of those earlier investments, that's also, of course, part of what's unleashed the unconventional oils, and we have now had like 600,000 barrel per day increase year on year out of Bakken, Eagles Ford, and so forth, which I think as gas prices have gone down and the rigs have moved off the dry gas plays, we've seen this incredible upsurge, and so that is a tremendous benefit, and we expect perhaps even 700,000 barrels year on year next year. Point one. Point two, many of the projects that are, of course, being invested in under our coal portfolio, the $6 billion we got invested, are looking at ways to add the U to CCS, utilization, in which enhanced oil recovery, yet another way to enhance our development of unconventional oil resources. That is also very important. So we are going to continue in the area of liquids. Secondly, on the question of gas resources, I would note, in addition to the fracking investments we made, back in the day we put $30 million into coal bed methane development, which also has now produced tremendous benefits. In the area of methane hydrates, it is potentially years out, admittedly, this tremendous bow wave of yet additional gas resources. We were very happy and gratified to have very successful results in your home state of this experiment. Part of what happens is we do try to promote public-private partnerships so that in these budgetarily constrained times we can leverage even a small investment. Government of Japan, as you know, and a U.S. company, ConocoPhillips, cooperated with us in that case. We've got $5 million dedicated to carry on the first successful drilling that we did in Alaska. We're going to be following up on that in the year ahead. And we agree that the methane hydrate play in the long run could in fact be the next gas revolution of a tremendous scale.
Well, and I appreciate you giving that background. We have had, I think, a pretty successful partnership with with Japan, who's very, very keenly interested in this and willing to work with us, as well as on the private side. And I think it is the model. It is something that we can look to and say this is how we can really help to push these out. But all appearances now seem to be that the U.S. is backing away from this. I was just over in Japan. The chairman mentioned our trips to Fukushima. We went at different times, but part of my trip was also to speak to the Japanese about opportunities between Alaska and Japan on a host of different issues. And the Japanese interest, of course, in pursuing the methane hydrates and furthering that partnership is pretty keen. But the message that I heard from them was they're very worried that we're withdrawing from that. We're pulling back the resources, we're losing interest. And I think this is, again, an area where we can be leading, but it takes that commitment of resources and just the focus on where we go with the future of this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.